Hello everyone, welcome to another video. All 5 of you who watch this, hello, you are actually very welcome. I'm pleased I get any views at all. This video is going to be talking about the 3 cheap, superior alternatives to Disneyland Paris that are within 3 hours travel of London. So if you're looking at a trip to Disneyland Paris but feel it's getting far too expensive, I have got one top money saving tip, and it's to go elsewhere. I have 3 great family theme parks within 3 hours of London that will give you all a fantastic day or longer trip, and I'd argue they offer much better value for money. So hello everyone, I'm Victoria, and as well as flooding my channel with my eccentric takes on Banksy, I also really enjoy theme parks and sharing my experiences and advice with other people, and that's you. But let's face it, Disney is expensive and it's not going to get any cheaper anytime soon. Apparently Walt Disney himself said that you would always be able to get a coffee for under $1 at Disney. So how's that going, Walt, eh? Yeah, so you can save money here and there at Disneyland Paris with things like travel and food, but ultimately you are going to be paying a premium for the day with the mouse. But if you are a bit more cosmopolitan about the characters and the IPs that your family and yourself would like to encounter, there is a whole world of other theme parks out there, both in the UK and in Europe. And yes, they don't have Elsa, but they are packed full of new experiences and new friends to meet. So with that being said, here are my 3 theme parks within 3 hours of London that I think offer much better value, and the last one on the list is probably not the one that you are expecting. So my criteria for these alternatives were fairly simple. I think parks should be polished, by which I mean there's been attention to detail just about everywhere. The theming is consistently good quality, the staff professional, the food is decent, and because it's me, the toilets are ample and pleasant, and overall you're getting good value for money. I also wanted to highlight parks that have been getting regular new investments and new attractions. I want to note Disneyland Paris has not received a new attraction for nearly 20 years. Admittedly, they did just get their second park a bit zhuzhed up, but that kind of thing encourages guests to come back and really makes you feel like you're valued and not just there to have money extracted from you. I haven't considered merchandise here because that's very subjective. So some people love to combine shopping with a theme park visit, but also a gift shop can be a very stressful place if you have a couple of highly acquisitive kids in tow. All the Disney parks are absolutely rammed with shops, and on that basis it's hard to compete. But at the same time, I'm not really a park to shop. I'm there to be flipped upside down at high speeds, quite frankly. So I don't think I'm really qualified to have an opinion. If you hear a mew, it's my cat. She can't tell the time. It is an hour before her dinner. So these parks also have to be within 3 hours travel of London, and I was quite flexible with travel. As to why London, well, it's because I live here and it's well connected with a lot of other locations. So I've been a bit free and easy with 3 hours. So my first option is, no, it's Paulton's Park. Paulton's Park is just outside Southampton, and it is way more than a Peppa Pig theme park. It's a clean, professionally kept but family run park, and they add new attractions just about every year. It's bright, it's colourful, it's stuffed to the gills with things to do that should keep everyone happy, from your bagminder to your thrill seekers. To get to Paulton's Park, the train from Waterloo to Southampton takes just over an hour. However, getting from Southampton to the park is a bit more tricky. We've had some success just getting a taxi to the park from the station, and that takes 15 to 20 minutes, and this is reasonably cheap. Paulton's doesn't have on-site hotels, but they do have partnerships with some local places that usually they'll throw in an extra day ticket when you book an overnight stay. Depending on the traffic, the drive from London is about 2 to 3 hours, and also depending on where you are in London, of course, and parking is currently free. To talk about admission, So tickets for Paultons Park start at £41 and children under 1 metre are free. But bear in mind that children grow, so they will measure your kid at the entrance, and if they've grown since you planned the trip, you're going to have to buy them a ticket at the gate, which is more expensive. So get that tape measure out a few days before you go. Turning to food. I don't think Peppa Pigland. I don't think Paultons Park food is going to get a Michelin star anytime soon, but I've always found the food to be pretty good. Certainly on a par with anything you can get in like a local pub or cafe outside the park. It's definitely a cut above the usual Merlin fare, and it's priced reasonably. They don't really go in for gimmicky themed snacks very much, but overall I'd say they have a decent offering. Talking about attractions, obviously that's the main thing. So Paultons is jam-packed with rides, shows and experiences you can do, and they also have a farm. Because of this, the queues really get out of control. So everyone from the tiniest kids to the grumpiest teenagers can find something they like in Paultons Park. Now, I've only ever been in Peppa Pig Land once. So if you and your kids are not fans, honestly, it doesn't matter. I like the area purely because it keeps people out of the rest of the park. Particular favourites of mine are the Flight of the Pterosaur suspended coaster, the Ghostly Manor Dark Ride, Storm Chaser, and their new Viking area, which features their first upside down coaster. I have not ridden it yet, but I see it's got some really good reviews. Next year, they're also expanding this Viking area with a new water coaster, which I've been on a similar thing before and I love them. Overall, this park is really vibrant. It's really nice and you can see it's being invested in. In comparison to Disneyland Paris, Paultons has had new or revamped attractions introduced consistently over the last few years, and it really struggles with long lines for its most popular attractions. Now, it doesn't offer any sort of skip the line pass. It doesn't usually need one, but you can get like a ride access pass if you're eligible. On to the next one. We all know what I'm going to say. It's Europa Park. Of course it is. Europa Park is situated very close to the Swiss and French border of the Black Forest region in Germany and has been one of the top theme parks in the world for the last 51 years. It's still family run, kind of, and operates partly as a showroom and a test bed of sorts for Mack rides. Getting here. So to get here, you can drive here, but that really is more than 3 hours, and I'm pushing this as it is. But you can fly from Heathrow to Basel, which takes just over an hour, and then you can get a taxi or hire a car to Rust, which is about an hour or so. You can also take the Eurostar if you cannot be bothered with flying. This does take a little bit longer. It's around 5-6 hours rather than 3, but it's a much more chilled out trip, especially if you get the direct train. And it's much better for bored kids because on a train they can then wander around rather than having them cooped up in a car or a plane. If anything goes jiggly, my cat is fiddling with the laptop. Admission. Now, day tickets are about €60 for Europa Park, which does compare favourably with Disneyland Paris's usual rate of over €100. It does cost a bit less if you're staying in the resort hotels. These hotels are delightful. They're really good value, but there are also some cheaper local places within walking distance of the park if you prefer. And it is possible to do a day trip here as well, especially if you arrive early and fly in and out. Talking about food, the food here is great. Please watch my Eat Renlin video. Europa Park is the only theme park in the world to have 2 Michelin-starred restaurants, one with 1 star and one with 2. The quick services in the park are reasonably priced and can present you with some really nice options. Now, I particularly like Bamboo Braai, which has these lovely spring rolls and customizable noodle bowls. Drinks can be expensive, but there is a Lidl a few minutes away from the entrance if you'd prefer to save some money on those. We definitely did that. In terms of attractions, Europa Park has over 100 of them, including shows, rides and other experiences. Now, there is genuinely something for everyone here, from gentle boat rides to one of the most extreme and intense coasters in the world. The island area is full of rides and play equipment for very young children, but there are also things like Arthur that combine a gentle roller coaster with an immersive dark ride that just about everybody will enjoy, but not my father-in-law. He freaked out. It was very scary for him. The overall experience at Europa Park is my favourite place in the world. I think a lot of Brits aren't necessarily aware of how good it is, and when they think of European parks, they think of Disneyland Paris and nowhere else. But in my experience, Europa Park has ruined me for Disney. It's well run, it's stacked with attractions, and there's just no need for things like lightning lanes and skip the line passes. You don't feel like you're being nickel and dimed for everything. I mean, it presents you with good value for money, and it even has its own mouse. Now, my final option is obviously going to be... it's Plopsaland, Belgium. Now, before you say what, who, where... now, I know Efteling is also a wonderful park, but I've yet to visit, so my third choice is Plopsaland, Belgium. It's actually also the quickest to get to. Now, I love this quirky Belgian theme park, and it's also turned me into a fan of the band K3. Now, getting to Plopsaland is ridiculously easy. Now, we took the shuttle, and once in Calais, the drive to Japan is about 40 minutes. You can also get the ferry as a foot passenger and hop in a cab once you arrive. It's also very possible to cycle to Japan from Calais along the famously flat terrain around here. Taking the train and bus is a bit of a pain in the backside, unfortunately, but you can get a bus from the centre of Calais, but currently there just doesn't seem to be that much demand for a direct bus from Calais to Japan, which is unfortunate, but maybe this will change. And also, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is one. I couldn't find one. Maybe there is. There's an on-site hotel, and there are also cheaper options nearby. But because travelling here is so quick, literally under 2 hours, a day trip is extremely doable. Now, for admission, a day trip costs around €54 for one person, but if you're booking in a group, this can drop down to €43 a head, making it very comparable to Paulson's Park, which I think is what it's most similar to. Food. Now, the food here isn't anything to write home about, but it's perfectly decent. Now, the chips and waffles are obviously excellent. You are in Belgium after all. We also had the buffet at the Plopsaland Hotel, and I did think that was actually great. Lots of variety, really good quality food. There's a pretty big supermarket about 5 minutes from the main gate as well, if you'd prefer to go and buy stuff and bring it in, which is perfectly fine. You're allowed to do that. Now, in terms of attractions, Plopsaland Belgium is full of a wide variety of rides, which are mostly aimed at younger children, but they do, however, have 3 thrill rides, including Ride to Happiness, a world-class top 10 coaster, and definitely my personal favourite of all time. Plopsaland also features shows, other experiences, and a petting zoo. Now, I will say it features characters that are unfamiliar to English children, and the language here is predominantly Dutch. However, English is widely spoken, and I certainly found these new characters to be very appealing in their own right. But I think as long as children are prepared for the fact that they are not going to run into Mickey Mouse, I do think that they will have a great time. For the overall experience, now, Plopsaland Belgium did seem like a bit of a weird choice for a coaster like Ride to Happiness, which is a highly intense spinning coaster with 5 inversions. On the other hand, it does make sense once you are there. Now, it's a well-presented park with nice staff. I guess they could be a bit more efficient at ride operations and some of the rides. Toilets are great, and again, there are so many different attractions that while they do offer a skip the line pass, we found that this was mostly unnecessary. I think the queues didn't really get above 30-40 minutes. Now, you might wonder why I didn't include any Merlin parks, these being Thorpe Park, Chessington, Legoland and Alton Towers. Now, the reason is that none of them are good enough, in my opinion, to compete with Disneyland Paris. Of these, Chessington is probably the best for a family outing, but it still doesn't have that polish that I was really looking for. Now, I do wonder what's going to happen over the next few years with Universal Great Britain opening in 2031. Now, I'm lucky enough to live fairly close, and it's going to be interesting to see what the parks I've listed, along with the Merlin parks, are going to do in order to attract visitors. Now, this is going to be probably the only park in recent history that is remotely going to be on a level with Disneyland Paris in terms of the quality of the rides, the presentation, the IPs, things like that. So I do look forward to that. I think it's going to be really great for the theme parks. As I say, I don't live that far from Bedford, and I'm really looking forward to that opening up. So yes, those are my 3 alternatives to Disneyland Paris. The elephant in the room is I'm actually going to Disneyland Paris in about a week's time. Super excited about that. And obviously I'm bringing some people who haven't been before, so they are dreading the if you've seen my Disney World mistakes video, you will know that me and my husband can get very, very intense about theme parks, so we're really trying to, you know, be a bit more chill about that, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope this video was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. I would like to give a big shout out to my Patreons. My top Patreon supporters are, of course, Moss and Jessica and Evie. Thank you so much for your support. You help me make videos of this exceptional quality, and I do appreciate you very much. And for everyone else, please like, please comment if you want to, please subscribe if you want to. I would love for my subscriber count to be higher than my Coast account. They're both right about the same level right now, but I would like one of them to be higher. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.